Tonight's episode, Sly wears an oversized tea cozy on his head, and I say that's insightful.
Is that insightful?
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I am Sly.
And I'm Spook.
And we're coming to you following the disappointing 2-point loss to the Sydney Swans. Spook, get straight into it. What did you think of the game?
That was a heartbreaking loss. I woke up this morning, I still feel gutted over it. There was a game there to be won, and we didn't win it. Is that insightful?
Yes.
Look, it was extremely disappointing the way that we didn't come to play in the third quarter, but I'm sure we'll cover that with a little bit more detail.
Well, let's go back.
Well, let's just talk about it now.
Let's go back a step. Darcy Moore goes off. What, second quarter?
Yes.
Yes, second quarter. Darcy Moore goes off with another hamstring concern.
Which hamstring?
We'll get to that later. So, Collingwood has to juggle. My check that goes down back.
Juggling actually may come in handy.
Well, I wish someone could. He joins Magden there.
Magic Magden.
Irving Magden. Joins Jack Magden. First game. So immediately, yet again, I don't know how many times it's happened this year. We should probably do a stat on it, but we're immediately down a rotation.
What a shock!
And while Buddy was running hot, there was a few times more beating to the fall of the ball and all that, and it looked like that was going to be a good matchup. But then again, I mean, what happens then is once more goes off, it just throws the whole side out of kilter, and we one rotation down. Going into half-time, I thought we should be about 5-6 goals up. We squandered opportunities, were a bit wasteful.
Yep.
There were times, some of the handballing was just suicidal. Like handball is someone who had a Sydney opponent right on them and would just lose the ball and turn it over immediately.
It was an amazingly congested game. And really, I mean, the SCG is not that much smaller, surely. Everybody has to be on the ball at one time, but apparently they do.
And I don't know if that was trying to compensate for a few weeks ago without over-possessing it. This time they just want to get straight on with it. But some of these ones that they're trying to get straight on with it, it's just like, surely the guy carrying the ball at that time, if you just turn around and kick at 50 metres, it's just as good as handballing if there's someone there who's going to run 2 steps and kick at 50 metres. So that annoyed me. Going into half-time, I thought we should be 6 goals up. We weren't, but we're still a few goals up. I thought we had control of the game, which is great.
Definitely.
And in the third quarter, we just did not come out. And Sydney got on top of us. They dominated. And, you know, it looked like we might have just hit the wall and that would be it. Last quarter we came back, we had all the play, again we squandered opportunities, Mason Cox missed a couple, actually I think Chris May missed in the third quarter, hit the post. You weren't brought in as a goal kicker or anything, were you?
No, well he's proven that time and time again.
But we were all over him in the last quarter, we got in front, and it goes down to that last 2 minutes, Sidebottom does this beautiful intercept, recovers the ball, is, I don't know, 70, 80 metres out and decides to go for the most amazingly distant shot from a guy who's not known for distance. You know, it's not like it was Anthony Rocker or someone.
Jeez, I've kicked a lot of these 70-metre mongrel punts. This will be another time and I'll be a hero.
And I reckon if you look at it, he looks like he's trying to kick it on the point closer to him, which means the ball would have top spin and continue to roll once it's the ground. As long as it doesn't hit a Sydney player who's standing there waiting for it. And they went back down the other end.
Shouldn't laugh.
Yep, some congestion, but then Sydney got a really fluky, lucky goal.
Fuck me dead.
Yep. And they won the match. So, I really don't know how we come out. With all these injuries constantly happening, I never know how we're going to come out. I keep waiting for us to just dip. It was great to be competitive for 3 quarters. That third quarter was the one that really cost us, but there was some just amazingly bad misses or amazingly bad decision making, which meant instead of this being a game where, I don't know, like against Essendon earlier in the year or Adelaide earlier in the year where we capitalised on our chances and we just maintained control of the game, and whenever they came at us we had enough of a buffer to absorb a few goals and then get back on top, it was kept close. And Sydney were full of, I don't know what you call it, buoyancy, you know? Yep, because they were trying to play for Alex Johnson's first game in 5 years or whatever it is.
500 years, I think.
And Buddy was obviously up and about, but I guess that helps when you're on the first game. I mean, And there was some amazingly...
I don't know. The commentary had me believing that Buddy was playing on several of the best defenders the competition's ever seen.
Well, that's a shock.
They don't lie to us, do they? They surely be telling the truth.
Was Anthony Hudson one of the commentators?
Yeah, he was. Oh, Casper.
That's a shock.
Casper, the friendly host.
Well, I don't know about being friendly to Collingwood.
Yeah.
It was a really disappointing game because I felt like we threw it away. And we went there with being decimated by injury. Howe was a late exclusion.
He was ruled out early in the week.
Oh, but at the time we recorded the last episode, it looked like he'd gotten back from his concussion and he'd be back in.
We just made shit up then.
No, but we said at the time, we don't believe he's going to be out there until we actually see him out there.
Oh, you said that.
Yep.
So I was full of beans. I was confident he was going to make it.
So Howe wasn't there, and we were forced to rejig it again. We were talking about this too 6 to 8 weeks ago. You'd have had a defence which was Dunn, Howe, Scharenberg, more they wanted to get in there, they had Appleby in there, and now they've lost about 4 of their 7.
I think it's all of them actually.
You still got Langdon, Crisp, and Maynard. Who all did their best, but they are all undersized. What I actually wished with Buddy is when Moore went down, I wish Buckley just said, I'm going to go totally left field instead of removing my check from up forward, destroying our structure, which is what ended up happening. We didn't have him up there, so the structure just really sort of flailed. I would have rather just went something totally left field, like threw Maynard on Buddy or threw Langdon on Buddy and just said, you know what, the way he's playing at the moment, I don't think it really matters who's on him for the leads and all that, because he's going to get to them first. What we need to do is get someone to do the chop out, make sure he doesn't get to those, and we'll put a running player on him and tell the running player at all times, run off Buddy, try and make him accountable, try and tire him out and all that sort of stuff. That we just sort of went for, let's go for a tall. I don't think that was a great decision.
I think there was still a lot of investment that midfield dominance is going to win this game. And, touching on that, some of our bigger names, bigger stars, more senior body players just didn't turn up this week.
Well, Taylor Adams is great.
Oh, no, he was fantastic.
Again, I'm a big champion of Taylor Adams. I know he does burn the ball occasionally, but I just think he burns it 2-3 times some games, and people go, well, that's what's wrong with him, overlooking all the good stuff that he has done. Pendles was extremely quiet, and I actually, we spoke about this, as Pendles played 2 good games in a row, or 2 great games in a row, because he was fantastic last week.
He's getting old.
Grundles was fantastic.
Yep, as usual.
Side bottom, that was as deplorable a game as I've seen from anyone, and if that 70-80 metre kick, that decision, if that had been Taylor Adams, Tom Langdon, one of those guys who's constantly maligned, would have been, well, this is why they're terrible. Sidey has had, I think since Straw's been there, I reckon Sidey's been really average. He might have had the occasional good quarter and all that, but, from someone who's been around for 10 years or so, you would think that you would be able to impose yourself in the game a little more, and that was just such an anonymous game, other than mistakes. A few guys like Callum Brown was really just didn't do a lot. Josh Dacos did some nice things, but doesn't get enough of it at the moment.
Talk about Sire.
We get to Sire. Sam Murray.
I want to talk about it now.
Well, Sam Murray I thought was a lot better. He's had 2 pretty average games back, so I thought he was a lot better. Chris Mayne did some nice things, but again, his ability to actually be proactive and influence the game.
Yeah, he doesn't impose himself at those crucial moments.
And it's a shame because physically he does impose himself to make a contest here and there. But
his hair does.
Yes.
But his hair's pretty imposing.
But he's going to need to capitalise on some of them. There's a guy probably we haven't mentioned. Let's talk about Braden Starr.
Just on Maine though, just quietly. You know how a big body actually influences gravity? Maybe that hair is just too big. And it's influencing the path of the football.
I don't think it's influencing.
I think our medical department should look into a haircut.
No, we'll talk about the medical department a bit later. Braden Starr.
Yes.
How good is he looking?
Fucking good.
Big body, stands up in tackles. He always seems to have some great composure, and he's played 3-4 games.
Yep. And his clearance numbers at one stage of the game were far better than Sidebottom and Pendlebury.
I'm not surprised.
No.
He looks like somebody, if they can keep him fit, because he's had issues with his body, if they can
Sorry, hang on a second. Say that again.
If they can keep him fit, because
no, sorry, I thought you said keep him fit.
Keep him fit, yeah, well, if we can keep him upright, big problem at Collingwood.
Breathing.
Yeah, breathing, running around, all that, he looks like he will be a fantastic addition to that midfield.
Oh, definitely.
And given, you go back a few years where we messed up a lot of our draft selections.
Did we?
Shockingly, we did. you really need some left field improvement. You need improvement from guys who just sort of go, I did not expect that that guy to be that good. Like Dane Swan, when you injected him into that side.
Well, we never injected him. We don't endorse drugs.
But when he came up into that side that eventually became the 2010 grand final side, no one knew who was going to become the player he did.
I did.
Okay. Since when?
Just then. I'm a revisionist.
Yep.
From way back.
Well, here at Collingwood. Any other thoughts about this game?
No, it was gutting. I mean, it really, considering it was a real backs against the wall type game as it turned out. The fact that we lost where we could have won, and I just want to talk quickly about a positive aspect for me is the way that they consolidated when it looked like the chips were down and they were just going to lose this badly.
Yep.
They rallied and came back and got their noses in front with a couple of minutes to go. The fact that we didn't win, done, can't do anything about it. The side, though, is building something awesome to watch in terms of their resilience and their never say die attitude, and I think that's going to bode well for the future. We just need to trim some of the excess stupidity away, but there is a real promising, very determined core there, and we can certainly build on this.
Yeah, and a little bit of a worry there is you've got some
you're a negative Nelly.
Top age players there who are not going to be getting better as the time goes on.
They didn't get better this week.
Well, I agree. The way we came back when it looked like we'd hit the wall, that was really encouraging. We got in front and then we lost the last 2 minutes. It was like watching the grand final.
It's a precursor.
Special mention to, we haven't sworn this session yet. Special mention to that fucking deliberate behind paid against Braden Maynard, where he's got someone hot on his tail. He's got Buddy coming in from an angle at 100 miles an hour, and he's under no pressure that he paddles that bloody ball through. That is the stupidest fucking rule. I shouldn't say it's the stupidest. At the moment, it's the stupidest fucking rule that I'm thinking of, because all it does is gets players turning around going, hey, that's a deliberate, isn't it? Just get rid of it. Fucking hell, so a player rushes it.
Yeah.
Big deal. To win a game, you only need to be 1 point in front. A rush is 1 point. That's all you need. All those people who ran around years ago, it should be a bigger penalty. Why? Because fucking people just want to constantly change a game. For what purpose?
They got abused in a grand final once. It's a knee-jerk reaction from the AFL.
Well, they got abused because the AFL changed the rule that the players didn't have to wait until the goal umpire finished waving his flags. They could just kick it out straight away. So Hawthorn used it as a way of resetting. So Hawthorn capitalised on a rule change. And so if you'd never changed that rule, Hawthorn never would have been able to do that, and you would have had to change another rule to fix that. Anyway, no last thoughts?
No.
Okay, so that's our match wrap-up. We're going to be back with a really big medium acidic.
Ooh, bigger than Cox?
Starts with Mason Cox.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Welcome to medium acidic. It's like no time went by at all.
No, not really.
Alright, so Nathan Buckley says that Mason Cox is being unfairly treated. Brian Taylor and Wayne Carey also remarked on Cox being unfairly treated.
And what happened this week?
I will say this, there's not enough made of this. I'm sure if it was the other way around, there would be 400 replays of it. It would be being replayed more than the Andrew Gaff punch. That first contest where Leah jumped into Cox's back, that for me was reportable. If you look at it, Leah never gets anywhere near punching the ball. His hands don't even go anywhere near the ball.
He was a near.
Well, it is like, to me, the way he attacked that contest, it was like he'd been told, you know what? Hit him hard, make him feel it, make him fear it for the rest of the game. And that, to me, was just basically a dirty act, but no one said anything about it. The commentators didn't even remark, after all this speculation about, Buckley and Carey and Taylor saying, oh, geez, he gets unfairly treated. Not one single commentator said anything about that.
Oh, they did when he got his first free pay, though.
Oh,
looks like all that talk's come work for Collingwood.
Yeah, well, I don't think it did, because he still got mauled more often than not.
Less than average.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that Leah contest? Because I'm pretty sure you told me you shouted when that happened.
Yeah, no, that was pretty bad.
I just thought that was...
He cannoned, and generally, without... I mean, it didn't even look like it was an unrealistic or a realistic spoiling mark attempt. It was a full-on cannon.
Well, the cannon, look at his hands. He doesn't go anywhere near the spoil. he just jumps into his back. So to me, that should have been actually should have been a free. Probably should have been a 50 because I reckon that was probably a mark anyway. And
that's the thing. I reckon it was a mark too. He clearly held it and got taken away from him.
And he dropped it not because it was spoiled. He dropped it because someone jumped into his fucking back.
Yeah.
God. Alright, so there's a fair few articles I'm going to read from. So this is an article Sheets calls the Bill Devoran's understudy. Bill Devoran was previously our fitness coach.
Understudy?
Yes.
That name rings a bell.
You cannot trust an understudy, I think. At the end of last year, Collingwood sacked Bill Devoran and essentially replaced him with his underling Kevin White. I'm going to stop right here. I know nothing about Kevin White. He might be the greatest fitness guy to ever be.
Well, I could probably debate that now.
Yeah, but you would think that if you're going to sack someone, you don't replace him with his lieutenant, because isn't he just going to be bringing the same attitudes to the table? Surely you'd say, hey, let's just go totally outside our sphere, get someone in who knows nothing about what's going on.
Like a trauma surgeon?
Yep. And get him to assess where we're at and to make up a totally new program, rather than just continue what we're doing. Anyway, continue this article.
Oh, no, actually, we have continued what we were doing.
Oh, we are? Yeah.
Times two.
Yep. Supporters of this change will argue this long injury list... that's terrible. Right there. Is only a consequence of having to fix an inferior program last year. Devoran was there for like 6 years. 6 years? I think it's inferior. Argument goes that when you change a program and build in new weights or strength components, you risk players breaking down before they improve. At Collingwood, if we don't risk it, we guarantee it.
Well, it is, ironclad.
That might be true, but it is impossible to believe they would have anticipated this level of carnage. There was a bit more to that, but for me, it was like, hey, they were the main things, and it's like, we said this last week, you got to get this fucking right. And you should be sparing no cost to work out what the hell is wrong there, and what the hell you need to do to fix it, because this is 7 years of injuries totally decimating seasons, and finally you're there within this premiership window. Absurdly, you're somehow in there, and it's going to get fucking derailed because yet again of injuries.
Yep.
Actually, just to go back a step, Nathan Buckley claimed that the guy could have played against Richmond, but the risk was too high.
What, the risk of him not making it out alive?
Yeah, well, because I don't know, his bone stress apparently is weakened, so if it cops a hit, it could be a lot worse.
Well, at least if you snap it, then you know there's a problem there.
Well, I think, any Collingwood player runs the risk of getting injured today.
Turning up to training is a health hazard.
Yep. Cale Kirby, I saw this on the website's injury report.
Good news.
Well, I had to wade through quite a few pages of that injury report. They have a quote here. We're getting our medical update on Cale's heart condition this week, so we may have a little bit more to report following that.
Well, that sounds conclusive.
Darcy Moore, good news.
What?
He didn't re-injure his hamstring.
Didn't he?
He injured a new hamstring.
Oh, that's good. I think through process of elimination, if we destroy every muscle, fibre and tendon in his body, maybe then we can flag the one that is actually going to kill him.
Or the one that's actually...
cure him.
Well, maybe they can actually work out which one he hasn't injured yet, and they can, work on him doing that one to get a 100% record. To me, again, there's something wrong there that people are breaking down with the same... not the same injuries, same type of injuries. Soft tissue injuries. Jeremy Howe missed with general soreness, so it wasn't his concussion, which we've been saying for a while. He looks really sore. Probably the greatest article I've ever read. Daniel Wells set to play on.
Oh, that's good news.
Despite...
What's he playing? Yahtzee?
Despite the
plunk?
Geez, he could do a
Trouble.
calf. He could do anything playing those. Despite the setback, Wells maintains he will be able to get back from serious injury and contribute to the Magpies' 2019 campaign.
Was there any sign of any sort of Pinocchioism going on there?
Oh, it's like the flying high. He wants to play and he will be able to play. Pickering, his manager, told SEN on Tuesday morning.
God damn it!
He's going to play. He has had a lot of injuries in his first 2 years at the club. But he's contracted and he'll be
I never noticed.
He gets his foot right, he's still got speed and he's still got class. We don't know if he's still got speed because we don't actually see him running at any point. Let's not forget the games he played last year and how important he was. He's just had a bad run.
Yeah, that's a shame. Just a bad run.
Nathan Buckley had a bad run in 2007, but he still has his class. I think we should draft him.
Sidey had a bad run at the end of the game this week.
Oh, fuck, it was a terrible one. Unless something changes between now and the end of the year, that's where we'll be at.
Well, you can't argue with that, can you?
A series of calf injuries.
Is this Lemony Snicket?
a series of unfortunate calf. A series of calf injuries limited Wells' influence in 2017 while he was struck down by...
Hang on a second, is that the year or the amount of times it limited him?
I think it was the amount of times. While he was struck down by Achilles soreness this pre-season and only returned to the senior lineup in round 8, so he could play a couple of games and then get injured.
At least he made it through a couple of games.
So I did a bit of research because he has just had a bad run.
Have you got your lab coat on for this?
I don't need a lab coat.
You need credibility, so you have to have a lab coat.
You can... I'll go get one. No way. Last 5 years, Wells has played 45 games.
Yeah.
So
on the PlayStation?
Yes, it could be. Well, and that's probably unfair, or that's probably exaggerating to say he's played 45 games because he's been injured in quite a few. So
45 minutes.
So he's probably played, like 45 games. If you play 45 games, you should play how many quarters? So what would that be? 160, 180? 180 quarters?
Maths isn't my strong point, I'm afraid.
So I'll be curious how many quarters he's actually played.
We can pause it and come back with a really intelligent answer.
No. And we'll go back 5 years, because that's what I was looking at. 5 years ago he played...
Should we do some wavy lines?
Yeah. 5 years ago he played 10 games, then 2 games in the following season, 19, so he had a good run then.
So he had a good run.
Yeah, and then he's played...
That's opposed to his bad run. He had a good run.
So then he's played...
Yang.
He's played 10 and 4 games, so it's not like he's actually... 1 year he had like a half-decent season.
10 and 4 games. Did Lincoln write that one for him?
So, what do you think? Do you think Daniel Walsh should play on because he's had a bad run at it?
No, see you later.
I keep saying this, he's 34. Okay, how many players are playing at 34 and still dominating and all that? And we're expecting the guy who's had all these injuries to come back because he's had a bad run. No, be serious, okay? And this goes through a number of the older Collingwood players who are having similar issues. I actually found this really interesting. It's not about Collingwood, but it's something close to
that is interesting then.
Yes.
Do go on.
Chris Marston had a rant at the AFL.
Did he?
Yeah. Did you ever read this?
No, this is news to me. I'm all ear.
All ear? Just 1 year?
Mm-hmm.
Marston was critical of both the league's decision-making process and the potential for future rule changes, saying the players felt as they had no input in discussion. This is now him speaking.
No, it's you.
Okay, it's me playing Chris Marston. I think the AFL is ridiculous. Just leave the sport alone, it will get figured out. I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. They're going to do what they're going to do. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned, but I like the sport the way it is. The 29-year-old said the players weren't properly consulted on the changes, saying the league is doing what they want to get the game where they want it. Players have no input in the rules. The AFL literally just do what they want, Marston said. Especially coming from West Australia, it's as if we're irrelevant over there, so no one is going to listen.
Where's he from?
West Coast.
Wish there was some relevance in that.
And I've been around for long enough now to realise that we're pretty much irrelevant. We just rock up on game day. We've got no say. Geez, you'd think the player actually has some view on the way the game's been handled. The AFL would just go, no.
I shouldn't think so.
No.
That'd be stupid.
I remember a number of years ago, Nathan Buckley, when he was part of the, whatever that group was, the players group, whatever it is, he was saying you should have a moratorium on rule change. The AFL just said, no. It's probably just as good as like years and years ago when the surface that Eddie had was just that beachy sand stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the players were complaining, and the AFL, they walked out there in their suits and their
thongs,
their shoes,
sunscreen on,
and they walked
beach ball.
But they walk through it and they go, oh no, this is fine. It's like
the Bahamas here.
It's like,
look, you can hear the ocean.
How can you make an assessment? They're walking across with these players, they're having to run around, and everyone's complaining.
I saw Gillan McLaughlin just swimming to the forward line.
This is a few years ago.
I saw somebody else who was doing his job back there, swimming to the forward line. I
found this interesting. Andrew Gaff's hit on Andrew Brayshaw. Someone said, should there be a red card? Do you think there should be a red card for these incidents?
There's almost an argument for it in that one. I mean, because he was targeted pretty much after that. You don't want to say rightly so, but that was inevitable. That was going to happen.
Yep.
You probably think in the overall game that you diffuse that by taking someone that's really done something bad off the field.
I wouldn't mind that in a case like this where you know. But it has to be always in a case like this, because I'd hate for a player to be sent off when the umpires get it wrong.
Well, they have a yellow card. or a white card with pink surrounds.
Congratulations to former Collingwood player Nathan Freeman on his belated debut. Had about 19 possessions for the Saints.
Did he?
Yep.
Good on him.
I actually found it interesting. They compared him to some of his contemporaries who are like on 100 games, and he's on his first one. And Scharenberg's not far behind, he'd be on like 20, 25 or something. Chris Fagan, the Brisbane coach, complains free agency isn't working as it's encouraging better players to go to clubs in premiership windows.
Yeah. Or what did they think was going to happen?
I don't know. I think he probably thought, well,
Go to a shit club.
we're a bottom 4 team, we have a lot of money, come here.
Jeez. Oh, gee. That's funny. Yeah.
Yep. I'll get back to that. Okay. About Tom Lynch, there was an article, and I'll just quote this because we laughed at this article. I think it's been a done deal at Richmond for a while, one list manager said.
Yeah, which one?
One anonymous list.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about this. You can say anyone's your fucking source. You know, I have a source. It's a list manager who has told me he is playing for Coburg next year.
Oh, which one? The list manager.
Oh, no, I can't give away my sources.
You don't mean it's relevant.
No.
You can just make shit up.
Yep.
Oh, you just did. I believe that. I took that as face value.
I'm sorry.
At face value.
I probably got all those Coburg supporters really ecstatic.
We are the Coburg.
Yeah, that would be a pretty good...
Resistance is futile.
Yeah. And then from the same article, Collingwood has obviously had a crack, but the meeting the other day came across as a bit of a smokescreen to me. Something to make it look like he was still making up his mind. Why would he bother? Why would anyone bother?
I don't know. You just got to make something up.
It would be good if, like, you know, the rationale was, or Richmond said, go take a meeting, you know, just the hide everything.
Yeah, there's a smokescreen.
Yeah, and then he goes, takes a meeting, and he gets back to Richmond and he says, you know, I think I'm not coming after all. I don't know. The articles quoting sources, Mail, whoever, fucking hell, you know. You can just say whatever the hell you want.
They do.
A number of people, including Terry Wallace, Jonathan Brown, think Collingwood is the best fit for Tom Lynch. Terry Wallace had this article about saying, well, Richmond could possibly be on 2 flags. Is that really, you know, where you want to be going? Because you'd be thinking they've had their run, they've got a pretty tight-knit group. Do you want to be throwing in someone from the outside? It's going, Collingwood's building something, so you'd be contributing to a building team.
I think a lot of people learned their lesson for all those players that went to Hawthorn and won flags.
Yep. Well, I did one before. Hawthorn won all those flags, so for Brian Lake, he came in just before. I didn't see this, but people were telling me Mark Robinson on AFL 360 complained when it looked like Collingwood was getting Tom.
Yes, I didn't see it, but I heard he had a bit of a sook saying, it's not fair.
Because Collingwood's involved again, and you are as biased a reporter as there could possibly be. And
is that Latin for idiot?
Yep. And I'm just going to pose this one to you. Gold Coast Suns. There was some demand that Tom Lynch just come out and resign.
He came out.
Yep. And Steve May should resign. They're saying, you know, these guys should be one club players, blah, blah, blah. What do you think about that?
No, you put this free agency in and don't look surprised when this sort of stuff happens. Well, and we don't know what sort of environment it is up there at Gold Coast. It's obviously not one about retaining players. So there's something broken up there and they're walking away. I mean, you've got to listen and look at what's happening and think that there's more to the fact that I just don't want to go back to Victoria. Maybe it's just a shit place to be.
Well, I'm going to extrapolate on that. Gold Coast have been around for 8 seasons, have not made a final. Allegedly, Stuart Yu, the coach, he's going to cut the list at the end of this year as part of a rebuild, so they're not going to be any immediate contention. Why should these guys stay at a club that it's not going to play finals probably in the lifetime of their careers?
And you're flagging years of mediocrity.
Yeah, why shouldn't they be able to go elsewhere and actually, you know, pursue finals, pursue success?
Well, they can as free agents.
Yeah, but they can now. But it's all these arguments about people, or journalists saying, oh, they should be one club players, they should stay. I mean, that sort of only really came out when Collingwood got linked to Tom Lynch and people said, oh, no, they've got to stay in Gold Coast and all that. I mean, the one thing that really fucking annoys me about what the AFL's done for the competition is they've won an even competition for years and years. Even though if you look at the last 15 years, Hawthorn's on 4 flags, Geelong's won 3, Brisbane won 3.
How many did we win?
Don't worry about us. We're an anomaly. But you haven't really even the competition out. What you've actually done is just brought the standard down and down.
It certainly has.
So now the equality is because everyone's mediocre. You know, if you look at the competition, it's not because it's a fantastic competition. It's just because you have teams like Melbourne, West Coast, Geelong, Sydney, all these clubs. I mean, Collingwood hasn't done yet. God, hopefully they don't. But all these clubs who at some point have sat in the top 4 and then just had a fucking massive nosedive for 4 or 5 weeks. That to me isn't a good competition. I would have rather had an elite competition with fewer teams rather than more teams and substandard skills. And that's also contributed to congestion. You have teams with diluted skill talent, so you have lesser players in there, and that's where some of the skill level is breaking down. So I don't know, I just think,
So what you're saying is we should probably put a line through 2 sides, let's call them Gold Coast and Carlton, and we get Cripps and Curnow and the rest can just piss off.
I'll take a few more from Carlton. I think they should have forced the Victorian clubs to move. They're going to be insistent on making these expansion clubs. That way, when these clubs came to Victoria, they would have had a supporter base. Rather than, like you see, like the Carlton GWS game, where it's like, what was the crowd, about 17 people? And GWS is never going to accumulate fans here, and they're probably not going to accumulate enough there. You're going to be fanatical enough to come over in droves. You might get, a handful.
Hang on a second, but the AFL told me there's over 1 million members now across the competition.
Well, Richmond's got all of them.
Yeah, over 100,000. Oh, gee, I'd love to see a breakdown of that.
Yeah.
Do you think one exists?
Oh, the Richmond.
Yeah, what actually constitutes membership these days at a club?
I think it probably Richmond.
Buying a raffle ticket, I think, seems to constitute a membership.
Well, it'd be curious.
Reading an email seems to constitute a membership.
It'd be curious if you could actually break down what each package is and how many people are in each package.
I'd love to see that. I reckon that'd be the most interesting thing, other than winning a flag, that the competition could pull out this year.
Yeah, but they won't do it because it's all about
smoke and mirrors.
Yep, it's all about. Yep.
So we're on the up. We've got a lot of numbers.
Yep. Well, that's what happens when you win a flag and the fucking numbers come. You win it, they all come.
Yeah, they do.
Yep. All right, that's it for Meeting Mephitic. We'll be right back with the match preview against Brisbane.
Yeah.
Brisbane. So we are back with the match preview.
I dozed off then, sorry.
Collingwood Brisbane at Collingwood's home ground, the Etihad. Etihad. If we're going to play home games there, I insist that they build a facade at the front of the ground that looks like a big Eddie Maguire head. And for Collingwood games, we're rename that stadium Eddie Head.
Interesting.
And you go through Eddie's mouth to get in.
How do you get out?
He's through the back. I still don't know why fucking playing home games there. Brisbane's playing some good football. I really wish that we're playing at the MCG. Where we do have a home ground advantage where they might be coming from...
Like Richmond do every week.
Yes, they might be coming from nice conditions into some wet and cold and all that. It takes a little while to acclimate, and by the time they do, it's like midway through the second quarter and we're 2-16, 3 points up.
Yeah, you would think that coming from Brisbane, the sandy surface will suit them quite well.
Well...
Bucket and spade, and they'll be all set.
Right, so Jeremy Howe should be back.
Yes, thank proverbial.
Again, I think it's a bit late to be worrying about swearing, but again, we won't believe it until he's out there. Jordan De Goey was initially projected as being out for 2 weeks.
Now, what's his latest prognosis?
I don't know, I tried to chase it up. A source close to the club told me...
A list manager?
Not a list manager, but a source close to the club.
Oh, how close? He was standing next to the
He
entrance?
was at Victoria Park Station.
That's close.
He told me De Goey could be back anywhere between 1 and 8 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I think it's accurate.
It's having a bet each way, really, isn't it?
You'd hope De Goey's back because you need someone dynamic up forward.
Oh, yeah.
The reserves, Alex Fasolo and James Aish didn't do a lot.
No, allegedly quiet.
But as we had this discussion, I think the second game back for players coming back from long-term injury is always the hard one. That first one, they're full of enthusiasm. The second one's like when their body's just trying to reacclimate and readjust, all that. So I actually,
Interesting theory, yes.
Well, I played at AFL level, almost. I just had a bad run.
It happens.
Yep. But you get 2 senior bodies in there. Aish just projecting upward. There's some debate about whether Fasolo can still contribute. I believe he can. You don't, but we'll find out in the long run.
What do you do? Ellie go, is he good?
And Elliot is good to miss for another 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, you beauty. So apparently on the injury list this week, we've got Treloar down as still 5 to 6 weeks away.
I get on that website and they never update it. So I don't know why they,
I did see though they updated Wells. It said bad run as his prognosis.
Well, that's how he did his injury. He had a bad run.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about this game? Brisbane is playing some really good football. They played well against North. They lost it with a...
Stupid banana snap.
Yep.
from about 15 metres out, I think.
Yeah, so you know he'll come back and kick 12 this time.
Oh, absolutely. They got anyone on the verge of death that might come back this week and sink us? It's a popular thing to do every week.
Oh, yeah, Michael Voss might be back. What do you think? I mean, we've lost 2 in a row now, so I think we lost the first 2 in a row at the beginning of the year, and then we haven't lost 2 in a row until now. We've really encouraged me with this constant fight. You know, even like the game against Richmond and other games where I thought, you're probably not going to be much of a chance, or I wouldn't be surprised if we fall away. We're just stuck with it. However,
yes, go on.
Sorry. You're going to be a little bit worried about the inexperience of defence because it really is struggling, and you need massive midfield pressure, and we just didn't have it this week.
No. And you'd hope a few of those blokes had gone away and had a good hard long look at themselves in the mirror of woe, and may atone this week. I think this is look, we say it pretty much every week now, but this is looming as a danger game. We've dropped to 6.
Yep.
We can apparently still easily make top 4 if we win the next 3. So there is an impetus there to do well.
And a lot of
impetus. Reworking English language one word at a time.
A lot of the teams in the top 8 are going to be playing one another over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, there is a lot of really could work well in our favour games coming up. So look, win this one, you're back in, I think. You know, and from here you'd be, hopefully half a chance against Port over here. And then Freo should be, should be a gimme, but you never know.
We don't know.
Michael Walters probably kicked 15 that day. And
Fremantle's been really inconsistent over there. They've had some great games and they've had some shockers.
You'd hope by the realisation that the season's 1 week away and we're all going to go on holidays, they just don't bother to turn up.
Yeah, that's what I hope. Also, going back a few weeks, I did project I thought we'd win these 3 coming up, but I mean, we'll stay with 1 at a time. At the moment, we can still just drop out of the finals entirely.
Yeah, that's how scarily tight it is up there.
And I would hate to lose this one and then the players now have their backs up against the wall saying, oh shit, now we need to win, and they freeze up a little bit and all that.
It is the Collingwood way.
Yeah. I think Brisbane's been fantastic this year. Again, you go back to the last time we played them where we struggled. That looks like such a meritorious win now because they've troubled teams, they've smashed some others like Hawthorn twice.
They're going to be very good. I wouldn't take them lightly.
Yeah, so you can't take them lightly. Just my worry always is how we're going to rebound from what came last week. And a lot of players who were quiet. Varco had kicked that 3 goals in the opening quarter, did very little after that. Oscar Maria had a quiet one.
There's a lot of silence from a lot of people.
Yeah, Coxie did alright in the contest.
Should have nailed those goals.
But he was inaccurate. My check got just pushed out of that forward line. But there was if you look at last week, the amount of players who actually contributed 100 minutes would probably be like a handful. And a lot of the guys just faded out or just came in and out. You think, if you can lift that intensity and application by, I don't know, 15%, you should be able to win it relatively comfortably. And the important thing is we need to have a good opening. We need to have, an opening quarter where we get 3 or 4 goals in front and they immediately get going to their shells.
Like we did when we first played them?
No, the first time we played them, similar with St Kilda and Carlton and Bulldogs and that, with all those games, it's been competitive at quarter time, or we've been behind and had to overhaul. I'm just saying we've got to jump on from the beginning and then assert our dominance, and hopefully then we can have like a bit of a cruise game, because I think we desperately need a game where we're not killing ourselves until the very last minute. We've had quite a few of those since the Queen's birthday. I mean, even games like against Carlton and that went pretty much to the 100th minute. So we need a game, I think, where, by half-time it's basically done and they can, all of them, not just the Collingwood players, the Brisbane players can just go, oh, well, this, just wait until we get home, the season's 3 weeks away, let's just all go into cruise control. I mean, that's what I'm hoping, but, Brisbane have been good. No,
they've been very dogged. So, yeah, look, I'd be a little bit concerned. The ins are going to be massive this week.
Sure,
do we actually have ins?
Or the Howe and the Galley are the two touted ones.
I'd be feeling a lot more confident. But, we'll see.
But if Howe the Galley...
Defence is still going to be an issue.
If Howe doesn't come back in, that defence is going to be a massive issue. Because you don't have...
That little fella killed us last time. What was his name? Little bloke.
Lewis Taylor?
I don't know. The Brisbane little bloke. He's about this big.
Oh, I don't know. That's out of camera shot.
So was he.
Well, that's probably why he kicked so many goals. If Howard doesn't come back, that defence is going to be a massive concern.
Yeah, it's because Hibb was in pretty good form for a young wing, and who's going to run with him?
Well, you don't have anything to come up that's experienced. You can bring McClarty up, but again, you got McClarty, Magden, Myercheck. You know, Myercheck's played about 8-9 games. Magden's played 1. McClarty's played 0. That's going to be vastly
it's another big
inexperienced.
stretch.
Yeah, you know, and the problem is now the way, because of the injuries, is there's not even guys you can send back to pinch hit. It's not like, you know, you can even go, hey, let's take the experienced full forward and throw him to full back or centre half back, because there's no one up the other end either. Coxey's, you know, you're not going to play him as a defender, and it's not like you can play Hoskin Elliott or some of the centre half back. So they really don't have many options other than to do something totally ridiculous, like saying, oh, let's play Pendlebury at centre half back. And if that's what it comes down to, then geez. You know, and you go back 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that's what we were doing constantly with Gavin Brown and Nathan Buckley. We were setting him back to be full-back and centre-half back because the players just weren't there to do it. So I don't know how we're going to shape this team.
Maybe it all comes down to two of your favourite players returning in Smith and Blair.
I still think Blair could have a role to play. But Blair's not the difference between this side being resurgent.
Maybe you can run with them, midget. Two of them just run around.
Well, the other ones, you might just sort of say stuff, let's bring in Aish and for solo, Aish can play.
Yeah, that'd be a good move.
Well, they're experienced bodies. You might just sort of play Aish at half back and then force Crisp or someone to just play a little bit taller. You know, I don't know. I mean, the biggest problem with that defence is, as I said, you know, we have probably 6 or 7, 8 guys penciled in to be that back 6 at various times, and you've lost 5 of them now. So
it's a big hole.
And it's you know, I remember Malthouse said it years ago, and we've said it here, the defensive 6 need to develop synergy. They need to learn how they play, what each other plays, they need to learn each other's idiosyncrasies, they need to learn, you know, when to go, when to stay and all that. And they get to know that by playing. Now you're throwing in guys who, you know, who have barely played.
That's a problem.
And you probably saw that last week a few times where, like, I remember Buddy went on a few leads where there was no one near him, and I was just like, I was thinking, well, Magden obviously lost him because he's just inexperienced, and the other guys didn't realise to cover because they're used to Dunn or someone being right there with them.
It's a good point.
So I don't know what to expect. I mean, for competitive, keep the intensity up. I think we should win relatively comfortably, not smashing, but it shouldn't be a scare. But if it is
just going to win the 4 points,
if it goes down to the wire, I'd be really worried about our capacity to run the game out.
Yeah, that's a point.
There's quite a few players there I think would have been spelled a while ago, and they're still playing just because there's no one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You just can't drop some of them back to bring anyone up because there is no one to come back up.
So, what's your prediction?
Pies by 10.
Collingwood by 53.
Yeah, I think we're pretty close then.
Yeah. Alright. Any final thoughts on anything to do with Collingwood and...
Just win. No fucking injuries. Just win.
Yeah, and you know, the no injuries thing, really please, you know, because I'm fucking sick of the team being down in rotation immediately and just seeing everyone tired. Like, when the injuries happen during the game, you'd think the players would just be fucking dropping their heads going, fuck, again.
No, give them a hug. Give them the nice hug.
Well, that was encouraging by Grundy, but you know, I'm worried that they're going to drop their heads and someone's going to do whiplash and that'll be another bloody injury.
You just go into these games expecting it now, really.
Yep. Anyway, that's it from the Collingwood Rant for this week. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, we'll be back victors. I'll be Victor Sly and this will be Victor Spook.
No, it's going to be Victor Crude.
I'll be Victor Frankenstein.
Yep.
Alright, that's it from us. Subscribe if you get the chance, and if you don't, subscribe and like what you see and leave comments and we'll try and answer them one day.
And up there is your address bar.
Yep. On the ceiling.
Yeah.
Alright.
And no room down there.
See you later.
Toodaloo.
Totally missed.
Just like Collingwood.
Yep.